A very good afternoon to you. It is nationwide. My name is Ogochkuka Onam. You're welcome. The Deputy President of the Senate, Senator Barau Jibrin, has extended heartfelt condolences to the families of the victims of the recent bombing mishap in a village at Tudun Piri, Igabi, local government area of Kaduna State. Senator Barau, in a statement, described the incident as unfortunate and calls for a thorough investigation as directed by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. While urging the security forces to thoroughly scrutinize the matter, he appealed to the relatives of the victims and good people of Kaduna State to remain calm and prayed Allah to grant the victims Jannatu Firdaus. The Senate Committee on Health is canvassing government's improved financial commitments in the use and practice of alternative medicine in the 2024 budget. At its 2023 budget performance engagement, the committee and the Director General of the National Agency for Food and Drugs Administration and Control pointed out the skyrocketing cost of imported drugs. Ignatius Nkwo reports.
Parliamentary scrutiny of the 2024 appropriation bill in full swing at the National Assembly. Members of the Senate Committee on Health took off the 2024 budget defense season with visits to agencies under its purview. At the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, the committee demanded to know what the agency is doing to improve the use of alternative medicine in Nigeria and the status of its due diligence in tracking drugs within Nigeria.
Well, I wonder what you have been doing as NAFDAC to improve the use of alternative medicine.
NAFDAC is built to support alternative medicines. However, I mentioned that the attention that is supposed to be given is not. The Senate Committee on Health can actually take this up. We need to put more money.
I believe funding will not be an issue because we already have the funds domiciled at CBN and even Bank of Industry. The hubs, the building, the structures are already there. We could just convert a few of them into high-tech hub for alternative medical and pharmaceutical research.
And I look at the few projects you have. Some of them are still ongoing, but you did not give us the date of award.
The committee was also at the headquarters of the Medical and Dental Council to find out the status of the 2023 budget and to ensure that there is adequate enforcement of code of ethics among practitioners. The committee also wants the council to fast-track the federal government policy on expansion of the number of medical undergraduate intake. Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
In a similar vein, the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, has busted a warehouse of a company that supplies regulated drugs in the FCT. The exercise was carried out from the team's investigation from previous raid of pharmacies. The Deputy Director, Investigation and Enforcement of the agency, Andrew Tamanua, said a suspect arrested led them to a store in Kuchigoro along the airport road, used as a warehouse for unregistered drugs and controlled medications such as morphine and unfit for storage of medicines.
The narcotics that we seize from this particular premises is petidine, 130 packets, then the morphine, 72 packets, and their market value is worth about 5 million. For the narcotics, we also have other unregistered products that we seize from these premises too, of which, if I can conservatively say, the market value is up to 10 million naira. For now, we have not been able to get the MD or the owner of the pharmaceutical premises, but we have gotten hold of the sales representative of the company. We are still in the press. Then the MD will be invited to come to our office for further investigation.
The suspect also confessed that there was another office in Apo where the regulated drugs were stored. However, after taking the NAFDAC team around the Apo area, he alleged that he had no idea of the exact location. The leader of the team is calling on Nigerians to continue working with NAFDAC to safeguard the health of the nation. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Alhaji Mohammed Idris, has constituted a committee to finalize Nigeria's value charter in line with efforts towards national drive for citizen reorientation. Nigeria's values charter embodies a social contract between the country and its citizens and will be incorporated into formal, informal and vocational educational policies. In a statement by the Deputy Director, Press, Minister of Information and National Orientation, this will serve as a blueprint and policy for a national value system defining Nigerians and undergirding personality as citizens. The statement notes that despite the constitutional provision on national values, Nigeria has not implemented a definitive core value system for its citizens, and as a country of diverse ethnic and cultural values, evolving into a unified nation without a unifying value system has been challenging. The 10-member committee has Dr. Mohammed Awa Haruna as chairman and Dr. Biodun Adeniyi as deputy chairman. Mrs. Teresa Nalwe will coordinate the committee, which has 2 weeks to submit its reports. The new policy will be unveiled in early 2024 by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The federal government will soon inaugurate a national volunteer database and a blueprint of the policy that will be implemented and coordinated under the National Volunteer Scheme. This was contained in a message by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume, to stakeholders at the 2023 International Volunteer Day celebration in Abuja. Kenneth Nanim reports.
As Nigeria joins the global community to mark this year's International Volunteer Day, Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation is taking stock of achievements of Nigerian National Volunteer Service established in 2003. The establishment of National Volunteer Database to enable the registration of interested volunteers will serve as a management tool to determine the number of profile of all genuine volunteers, assess the impact to the economy, and estimate the cost and value of volunteer actions.
It also provides an avenue for voluntary involving organizations and individual volunteers to showcase their trade and contribution to socio-political development of our nation.
Volunteering is one of the strategies adopted by various nations to fast-track development, especially in rural communities.
With your partnership, we are asking that please get more volunteers for us.
If everyone did is the theme for this year's celebration, of course, it is a clarion call for all and sundry to lend a helping hand, especially to those in need, and of course, to also render other humanitarian services, especially in times of emergencies, for the benefit of others, for where we could build a better society for which everyone will be proud to call our own. Kenneth Nani, NTA News.
The National Commission for Persons with Disabilities says it will commence enforcement of the Discrimination Against Persons with Disabilities Prohibition Act 2018 by January 2024. Ngufan Shaji Ugwanye reports that this decision was communicated at the sensitization campaign in commemoration of the 2023 International Day of Persons with Disabilities, which took off with a road show in Abuja.
The proper enforcement of the Discrimination Against Persons with Disabilities Prohibition Act is expected to start on the 16th of January 2024, that is next year. Every public building that are not accessible for persons with disabilities are expected to be made accessible before 16th of January 2024, before we have your building PEC.
The campaign is a collaboration between the Commission and the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation as a move to ensure the enforcement of discrimination against persons with disabilities Prohibition Act 2018 and address the challenges confronting persons with disabilities in Nigeria.
There is no discrimination against our members anymore in this country.
However, we want to also sincerely thank Mr. President for recently appointing one of us as a senior special assistant to the President on disability matters, which also speaks volume to the implementation of the Act.
Meanwhile, women with disabilities are commemorating the International Day with a campaign to end gender-based violence as they converged on Abuja to address some of the issues confronting women, especially those with disabilities.
An institution, what comes to mind is, do they have toilet facilities that accommodate persons with disabilities?
We remain committed to ensuring that women with disabilities get the highest percentage when it comes to our empowerment program at all levels.
The National Representation Agency needs to carry this thing to the grassroots.
These engagements are to increase awareness on matters of gender-based violence, especially amongst the community of persons with disabilities in Nigeria. Still on human rights matters, having recorded success stories in the implementation of Child Rights Act across the states, Nigeria is set to present its reports to the United Nations. This was the focus of a meeting by the committee held in Abuja. Monso Demiandati reports.
Members of the National Child Rights Act Implementation Committee, drawn from diverse ministries, departments and agencies.
It's the 7th quarterly meeting of the NCRIC. The meeting is focusing on the periodic reports. We will also look at the 2024-2025 work plan. We want to establish a database, make input to ensure that there is a smooth flow.
That convention on the rights of the child obligates Nigerian government at the federal, state and local government level to put legislative measures, policy measures, administrative measures, institutional measures, budgetary measures, and other actual measures that will enable the government of Nigeria at all levels of governance to promote and protect the rights of the child.
And UNICEF is delighted to be supporting the government of Nigeria to initiate this process of submitting the country report to show the progress that Nigeria has made as a country with respect to the implementation of child rights standard. A lot of progress has been made, but we need to tell the world this progress that Nigeria has made.
Mobile court will be implemented all over the Federation, and the Governors Forum has accepted that. So Nigerians should be able to speak out. Once you speak out, justice would be administered at the right time and at the right place because the mobile courts will be available.
Momso Damien Dati, NTA News.
Human rights abuse of any kind is normally frowned at in any society, with Nigeria at the forefront of fighting the menace. Cases of human rights abuse in Plateau State have been on the rise despite efforts to contain them. Caleb Gochin has details.
Aside from other modes of transportation, Akwa Ibom State is accessible from rivers, Cross River and Abia states by road. Though some of these roads are motorable, others are still being given attention.
I will ask the government to come in as fast and as soon as possible.
You must not wait for the federal government. If you can do it with your own money, later you push them to pay you.
Please, some amendment work should be done.
The Honorable Minister of Works has directed all contractors to ensure that the stretches covered by their contracts are maintained to reduce the challenges of movement.
For some others, it is all thanks to the federal government for some interventions, just like the Ete Abak Road leading to the East-West Road linking river states.
Some more thank the people that work it.
Thank God for the government that's looking to the road.
As the rains recede, there is a great level of hope among the people, especially commuters, that the agencies responsible will get to work before the next rainy season sets in. In Uyo, Edith Yongiba, NTA News.
Our sincere apologies for that mix-up. That was actually a report from Uyo on residents basking in the euphoria of the season, especially as the peak of the celebration draws nearer, and of course the roads that are being constructed in the area to give them ease of commuting in all states, in all parts of the states. All right, we'll go back to our earlier report where we told you about the human rights abuse in Plateau State. Let's now join Caleb Gochin to give us that report.
Plateau State, with an approximate population of 4 million, ranks among states with increasing cases of human rights abuses. Records from the Human Rights Commission in the state indicate that human rights violations are a source of concern as many family members are becoming victims. Of all these concerns, women and children are more vulnerable, but the Commission says despite lean resources, it is working round the clock to address the challenge.
So far, over 1,000 people have been affected by the complaints that have come in, and about 20% plus of it is women. Over 61%, about 62% or more, is children that actually suffer the brunt of human rights violation.
It is the position of the Commission that government can play a more proactive role by ensuring that citizens' rights and privileges are protected through the creation of enabling environment and laws. In Jos, Caleb Gochin, NTA News.
Caleb Gochin, I can see you there. You are live there for a live uplink. What more can you tell us on the rise in human rights abuses?
Yes, Ugo Chuku, thank you very much for joining us in Jos. The case has been a challenge, and the stakeholders are up and doing, especially this week. They have set aside 16 days to ensure that they create awareness towards eradicating this. We are here at the State Office of the National Human Rights Commission. And I tell you from the report you've heard, the figures are really disturbing. But like I said, they are working towards seeing that this is reduced, and more so that most of the cases are not reported. I'm here with the state coordinator, Veronica Abe, who will tell us possibly why we have high case of high cases on the plateau. Ma, thank you very much. You've told us all the reports, you've told us the figures. Tell us why plateau is on this.
Thank you very much, Caleb, for this opportunity. Plateau State, the cases are high on the plateau. I would like to attribute it to the aggressive sensitization that the National Human Rights Commission Plateau State Office has been able to create using different platforms, collaborating with our stakeholders to educate and sensitize people through conferences, through community outreaches, to tell them about these violations and how to go about them when these violations occur.
Okay, so those perpetrators, have they been sanctioned accordingly? And also, if we can just join them with those victims too, how have you been able to address their cases?
The Act of has mandated us to monitor and investigate human rights violations to the appropriate quarters, and when we have cases that are criminal in nature, we refer them to the police, and they handle the issues. We report such cases to them, and issues that have to do with human rights violations. What we do here at the Commission is to investigate these violations, and we have a department, protection and investigation department, and our legal department who handle these cases, and we do handle these cases through mediation sometimes through mediation we are able to resolve some of these violations reported to us. But the ones that need prosecution, we refer them to the Attorney General of the state to carry on with such cases. We mediate, and at the end of the day, sometimes we are successful to bring the two parties together and resolve the issue. But the ones that are criminal in nature, we report to the police and the Attorney General. And what we do is our cases are handled within 3 months and we resolve them.
Issue of victims, you have a place to rehabilitate them?
Yeah, the Commission doesn't have a place to rehabilitate victims, but as I told you earlier, we work in collaboration with so many NGOs who run shelter homes, and so when we have issues whereby we need to stabilize the victims and to give them psychosocial support, we take them to places where they have shelters. And shelter has been an issue. Like in Plateau State, I think it's only one shelter house that we have, but some NGOs are working towards that. So when we have issues like that, to rehabilitate the victims of human rights violations, we take them to these NGOs and they house them.
Okay, finally, what's the way out?
Well, the way out is human rights business is a collective responsibility. Yes, we are being mandated and we've been set up by the federal government to ensure that we promote and protect human rights, but you know that we can't do it alone, and that is why we have various stakeholders that we work with.
Ugo Chukwuka, that is the challenge here in Jos, but it is the fight for everybody. So we will link you up with our Lagos studio for more on Nationwide. Thank you.
Thank you, Caleb. Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu says his administration will continue to put in place proper traffic management systems by providing modern road infrastructure that will ease the burden of commuters in the state. The governor was speaking during an inspection tour of the ongoing construction of Okpebi-Mende-Ojota Link Bridge and other road construction projects within the metropolis. Ese Ongamaka reports.
In the face of traffic management, we're changing the face of commuting in Lagos, and we're changing the face of access to modern infrastructure, roads and development.
The construction of the 3.9-kilometer bridge and approach roads, which was flagged off in January 2022, is aimed at providing a direct link between Okpebi, Mende, Maryland and Ojota to Ikorodu Road, thereby decongesting traffic on the Ikeja and Ikorodu Road axis. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu expressed satisfaction with the quality and progress of work so far done on the project, noting that innovation was brought to bear.
There's still going to be a bit of furniture that you're going to see on this bridge. Eventually, it will look like another iconic bridge in Lagos, which will be similar to what we have in Lekki, axis. And as you can see, there's enough room for cycling. There's enough room for pedestrian walking, even on the bridge. So we are going to. It's a total life change. We are going to be encouraging people that want to exercise, right, and want to move freely, and ensure that what we see in other developed nations are the kind of infrastructure development that we're doing in Lagos.
The Okpebi-Mende-Ojota Link Bridge and Road Construction Project, which is near 65% completion, is expected to be opened to Lagos residents in the second quarter of 2024. In Lagos, Ese Owomaka, NT News.
The outbreak of diphtheria poses great threat to national public health. To prevent escalation of the infection, the Nigerian Red Cross Society, in collaboration with government and other stakeholders, are working through various programs. National President of the society, Adeaga Adetayo, who called on Nigerians to join the fight against diphtheria, announced that the Nigerian Red Cross is making progress through various interventions like immunization, risk communication, and community engagement. With the decline in number of diphtheria cases in Nigeria, the curve is showing uncertainties which medical experts are worried about.
Talking of the health of the people.
National President, Nigerian Red Cross Society, revealed that the organization is actively involved in fighting the infection through its diphtheria intervention program, which it recently extended to 12 states.
We need to protect and promote the lives of every individual on this earth that we have come in contact with, as a society, as a community.
Though successes are being recorded, the society is worried about vaccine hesitancy in hard-to-reach areas.
We are going to be supporting NCDC with increased community-based surveillance, I think, which is really, really important to actually understand the trend of the outbreak, how prevalent it is.
The Nigerian Red Cross got the support of the Lagos State Primary Health Care Board because we had a training which was conducted by them. We trained our volunteers, about 190 and 180 volunteers, and some branch staff were equally involved.
The Nigerian Red Cross Society says it will continue to collaborate with government and other stakeholders towards sensitizing the public on ways of preventing diphtheria in order to eradicate it. In Lagos. Those are the reports from Lagos. Nationwide will continue in Jos after this break.
On to Nationwide on the network service of the NTA. Welcome to Jos. And from here we begin with agricultural matters, as wheat farmers in Plateau State say they are encouraged with the practical steps taken by the federal government to boost wheat production in the country. This was during the flag-off of wheat production in Jos. Ijoma Ozemena has details.
With a cash crop with high demand is being cultivated across the country in view of its contribution to food security. It is against this background that the federal government is encouraging farmers to boost its production. Already 1,000 hectares of land is being cultivated in commencement of the pilot project.
I'm really confident and optimistic that it's going to be workable because plant soil is fertile. It can take any type of grain.
The duration for wheat, if we don't start it now, we'll get late. Anything from the 15th of this month is just going to be trial and error.
Key players are of the view that with the encouragement and provision of inputs, there will be bumper harvest.
He wants farmers to boost food production in Nigeria so that Nigeria will be food sufficient. And he starts with the wheat value chain. Mr. President made some statement concerning his desire in diversifying from the oil to make sure that the spoken word is acted upon.
The farmers appeal to the federal government to sustain its support for the agriculture sector to enhance food sufficiency. In Jos, Ijoma Ozemena, NTA News.
In other news, Plateau State government says it will give priority to workers' welfare as well as training and retraining for maximum productivity. Governor Caleb Mutfwang stated this in Jos while flagging off a retreat for union leaders and government officials. Belkisu Nuhu reports.
Tagged Promoting Effective Social Dialogue for Industrial Relations, the retreat provides a platform for labor leaders comprising NLC, TUC and government officials to brainstorm on best practices that will enhance good governance, promote industrial harmony and effective service delivery.
So far, we're comfortable with the government, with what they've done.
This is the first time government really has seen need for training and retraining.
It's meant to cement the working relationship between the government and the labor.
To open a new vista of collaboration between labor and government.
Governor Caleb Mutfwang emphasizes the need for the service to contribute in reforming the state, noting that his administration has prioritized the well-being of the civil service.
The time is now for mutual benefit, industrial harmony, worker welfare, training, prompt payment of salaries and promotions. With God's grace and your cooperation, we shall achieve these goals seamlessly.
Plateau State Head of Civil Service, Rauta Dakok, explained that the retreat, which is the first of its kind, is an opportunity that will provide an insight to the participants on the processes and frameworks towards efficient service delivery for the benefit of the entire system. In Jos, Bilkisunuhu, NTA News.
Those are the stories from here. Ogochukwuka is back to you in Abuja for more on Nationwide.
Very well, Felicia. Thank you. Now, the federal government is unwavering in its commitment to strengthening Nigeria's health system that will deliver life-saving care services to Nigerians, especially the vulnerable and children. Special advisor to the President on Health, Dr. Salma Anas Ibrahim, reaffirmed this in Abuja at the rebranding of MSI Nigeria Reproductive Choices to enhance coverage of sexual and reproductive health in the country. Olusheye Adeagbo reports.
A world where every birth is wanted continues to re-echo as professionals in sexual and reproductive health keep implementing programs that will ensure the people have children by choice and not by chance.
I want to tell you the good news is that the government of Nigeria, under the leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is committed to the Sustainable Development Goals for health for all, based on the universal healthcare coverage, using the continuum of care model where no one is left behind.
Reaching the most underserved has been our greatest impact at MSI Nigeria Reproductive Choices. More than 70% of our outreach clients live in poverty, 4 times higher than the proportion of the family planning users nationally who are poor.
MSI Nigeria Reproductive Choices is the rebranded name of Maria Stopes International Organization Nigeria, and the group says in 2022 it contributed more than 30% of all family planning service users across the country, thereby saving the lives of 17,050 women and girls from maternal mortality. In Abuja, Olusheye Adeagbo, NTA.
Now, experts are advocating a transparent confirmation of the Inspector General of Police as well as the recruitment process of personnel as part of steps towards reforming the Nigerian police force. Guests on Good Morning Nigeria are emphatic on professionalism and a call to address leadership issues and internal decadence in the system. These assertions were made while discussing the second part of the police reform in Nigeria. Oyeyemi Ajayi has details.
Discussions have centered on the need for proper reformation of the Nigerian police force. Welfare, training, accommodation and motivation were some of the cards placed on the table, aside the fact that more indeed needs to be done for a better policing system in the country. For guests on NTA's flagship program, Good Morning Nigeria, the Police Council itself needs to be rechecked and funds must trickle down to the least deserving officer for effective policing.
There's need for adequate funding of the Nigerian police. Yes. However, what is more important is how the money will be utilized. So our own proposal from the human rights angle is, if you're budgeting for people, they should be able to benefit. Nobody should be able to hijack the process. That means the budgeting of the police should take into consideration the police station, the DPO, the area command, the CP, and so on and so forth. And their money should be able to go to them directly.
The moral in the police is has decayed because the leadership itself has not been able to understand this is what we want. Even if I can be among thieves and I will not steal. Yes. If I have that value, I can invite that value, moral value. Mm-hmm. So it is when we have to inculcate, and one thing that in the police training, the content is also, I have always advocated emotional intelligence.
The whole reform we are looking at it. Mm-hmm. What was the MD Yusuf's reform committee said? Today, to put the police at the minimum standard we need it, it's like spending 7 trillion naira. The president to down, when it comes to this, the police is treated as a necessary evil. Why should it be? Why should the police force in a country, in Africa, is one of the poorest are on. We go outside, we are commended.
The guest, however, suggested a 2-year term for Inspectors General of Police in order to effect the desired changes, as well as the need for the decentralization of the police force. Oyeyemi Ajayi, NTA News.
In other news, the National Coalition Against Terrorism has condemned the unwarranted attacks on the integrity of the Nigerian judiciary, describing perpetrators as enemies of democracy and the rule of law. The group says those fanning the ember of chaos and disorder because judgments delivered did not favor them should eschew violence and demonstrate virtues of true democrats. The coalition condemned an attempt to breach peace in Kano and stage a protest in Abuja by alleged members of the NNPP and called for security reinforcement.
Justices of both the tribunal and the appeal court is a daily routine. This is an act of terrorism that must be properly checked by the security agencies in order to forestall anarchy and violence.
The group appealed to security agencies and other key stakeholders to investigate the ill motive of those bent to foment crisis and bring them to book before it escalates and causes destruction to lives and property. And still talking politics, 25 political associations have so far applied to INEC to be registered as political parties ahead of the 2027 general elections. INEC National Commissioner for Information and Voter Education Committee, Sam Olumekon, disclosed this at the public presentation of the needs assessment of political parties in Nigeria. Timothy Yusuf has details.
This gathering of election stakeholders and politicians is organized by the Kukat Center and the European Union. Presentation of needs assessment for political parties in Nigeria is the primary concern here.
The report has drawn not just from academic analysis, but it has a range of reviews, of interviews with ordinary people on the streets about what they think of politics and political parties. The report has recommended the constant review of the Electoral Act, because this must be a work in progress.
Political parties serve as the bedrock of our democratic framework, and the comprehensive needs assessment is an indispensable tool in ensuring their efficacy and responsiveness to the ever-evolving needs of the Nigerian people.
Democracy must survive in this country, and for it to survive, all actors must be given that enabling environment.
President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, represented by the senator representing Anambra Central Senatorial District, Victor Ume, says since the return to democracy in 1999, Nigeria's political landscape had witnessed significant transformation, which can be attributed to the relentless efforts of various stakeholders and institutions, including Nigerians and political parties. Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
The attention of the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Dr. Betta Edu, has been drawn to a fake news item in the media alleging that 25 billion naira purportedly meant for the retired military pensioners from the conditional cash transfer funds has been given to the Minister of Defense, Muhammad Badaru Abubakar. A statement by the Special Advisor on Media and Publicity, Rashid Olarewaju Zubairu, says the report is false and the general public is urged to disregard it as it is a deliberate and malicious attempt by mischief makers to tarnish the image and integrity of the minister, adding that at no time did the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation give funds meant for the pensioners of the retired military personnel of the Nigerian Armed Forces to ministers or any ministries. For the avoidance of doubt, 17,077 veterans and 264,560 pensioners lists were submitted to National Social Safety Nets Coordinating Office, and the process of in-person verification of the names submitted by the Nigerian Legion and the pensioners group is still ongoing. In line with the directive of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, all funds upon confirmation of the beneficiaries' details are to be sent directly to them through their bank accounts and is verifiable. Members of the public are advised not to allow themselves to be distracted or misinformed by naysayers. Now, the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons is set to commemorate the International Migrants Day with a National Migration Dialogue, which is being hosted by the Commission annually. Addressing journalists in Abuja, the Federal Commissioner, Aliyu Ahmed Tijani, says the National Migration Dialogue provides an avenue to engage stakeholders from different stratas to facilitate national debates on cross-cutting migration issues following Nigeria's participation at the recently concluded Euro-African Dialogue on Migration and Development in Netherlands, which led the conversation on harnessing youth migration for national development.
This year's dialogue is themed Leveraging Youth Migration for National Development, which echoes the theme for the celebration of the 2023 International Migrants Day, a call to act today for a better tomorrow. A rallying cry that encapsulates the urgency with which we must address the challenges of migration. They intersect with the aspiration and potential of our youth. A substantial number of these internal migrants, driven by such factors, become a catalyst for external migration through irregular routes, thereby establishing a link between internal and external migration.
The Federal Commissioner further emphasized the importance of the upcoming National Migration Dialogue, which seeks to reflect on recommendations of the Rabat Process Dialogue with the goal of proffering durable solutions and develop policies that will foster regional development and safeguard the rights and well-being of internal migrants. We will now be linking up with Asmao in Sokoto for the next set of reports. All right, let's join Asmao now.
Sogochukuka, good evening and welcome to Sokoto on Nationwide. Towards ensuring success in the implementation of the Adolescent Girls Initiative for Learning and Empowerment Agile project, Sokoto State Government is strategizing to remove barriers hindering girl-child enrollment, retention and completion of school. To this end, a steering committee has been inaugurated on the Agile project with a view to provide more education opportunities to the girl-child in the state. Dalhat Abdullahi reports.
Sokoto is among the 18 selected states of the Federation to benefit from the World Bank-assisted Agile program. The program is designed to provide more access to education opportunities for girl child between the ages of 10 and 20 years toward attainment of the universal basic education goals. Inaugurating the committee, Governor Ahmed Aliyu discloses that the education sector was allocated 42.8 billion naira in the 2024 budget. The governor assured of providing conducive atmosphere for teaching and learning for the initiative to succeed in the state.
We have introduced several measures aimed of ensuring that we deal with the major obstacles hindering educational development of our state.
Chairman of the committee and the State Commissioner for Basic and Secondary Education assured of committee's commitment toward the success of the project in the state.
Even this budget, which he has presented to the House, got the largest share in this 2024 budget proposal.
With proper implementation, the initiative is expected to bridge the gender disparity in schools enrollment between the girl child and their male counterpart in Sokoto and other benefiting states in Nigeria. In Sokoto, Dalhatu Abdullahi, NTA News.
In order to cement its position as a livestock hub in the country, Sokoto State Government is upgrading the status of veterinary clinics into specialist hospitals to improve animals' health and boost production. Against this backdrop, an anthrax vaccination exercise was flagged off in the state. Bashir Ibrahim Nababa reports.
Statistics by Sokoto State Livestock Development Agency reveals that the state has a projected population of more than 8 million livestock, making the subsector an important component of the state's economy. The strategic location of the state, however, makes it vulnerable to diseases such as anthrax, are related to transboundary animal diseases. At the flag off of vaccination and distribution of anthrax preventive drugs, Governor Ahmed Aliyu Sokoto, represented, says the exercise aims at ensuring public and animal health, and the health sector remains critical in the administration's 9-point agenda.
These proactive measures underscore our dedications to ensuring the health well-being of our livestock.
Zozo State have procured adequate number of vaccine doses for anthrax diseases, rabies, and past days post-herpes remnants, that is PPR, to cover all the 33 local governments.
About 70% of the livestock in Sokoto State are produced through pastoralism that is characterized by low productivity and diseases due to poor management. Thus, the establishment of the Livestock Development Agency by the government to improve production and the value chain. From Sokoto, Bashir Ibrahim Nababa, NTA News.
And that's our package from here. We'll take a short break, and when we return, the news will continue in Abuja with Ogochikuka. Good evening.
Thank you for staying tuned. The University of Abuja will not shy away from the mandate of the institution's existence, which places premium on research. This is coming from the Vice-Chancellor, Professor Abdul Rashid Na'ala, at the university's 2023 Researchers and Authors Ceremony. It is an event that identifies and recognizes lecturers who have put in an indelible mark in the field of researches that are internationally recognized. Opportunities for grants are open to university lecturers to have access to carry out researches to assist both the institutions and society.
As a research-intensive university, our goal is to have direct impact in our society. We must show this nation that everything that a world-class university will achieve, we must achieve them. And we are determined as a university to show that our university, no matter what it takes, we will do research, we will have impacts in our nation, in the world, for humanity. We will show that this is what a world-class university should be.
50 lecturers in the university have excelled in different fields in which researches were conducted. And next is sports update.
All is now set for the 4th edition of the Chief of Defense Staff, Armed Forces and other security agencies half marathon slated for 9th December in Abuja. Chairman Organizing Committee of the Marathon, Air Vice Marshal Abidemi Marquis, in a press briefing in Abuja on Tuesday, says the event is to further ensure healthy lifestyle of the men of the armed forces.
To improve their skills, discover new talent for the nation, and interact with one another.
Meanwhile, Nigerian Customs Service has promised to give Nigeria good representation at the upcoming FIBA African Basketball League in Egypt. This was after emerging winners of the FIBA Zone 3 basketball qualifiers in Abuja. Customs will be joined by second-place ASPAC Basketball Club of Benin Republic as Zone 3 representatives in the FIBA African Basketball League, holding in Egypt between 8th and 17th of December.
But we're going to go out there and put up a good performance. If we're able to win the trophy, then it's just going to be, like an icing on the cake.
Elsewhere in the English Premier League, Arsenal are now 5 points clear of the league table after a thrilling 4-3 victory over Luton on Tuesday. Declan Rice snatched a late win for the Gunners in the 7th minute of stoppage time, 23 seconds after the official added time of 6 minutes had expired. In other fixtures on Wednesday, with the momentum seems to be going for Chelsea, Manchester United must find extra energy to overcome the visiting Blues at Old Trafford as pressure continues to mount on Erik ten Hag. At Villa Park, Manchester City face a tricky encounter against informed Aston Villa. With Sports Update, I'm Austin Edemodo, NTA News.
And that's the news. Thank you for watching. Good afternoon.